Hey there everybody, Grant here. It's been a couple weeks since the Ironman 70.3 in Ohio, and I figured I would do a quick recap of how the race went and the things that I learned and the things that I'm going to work on next. So we arrived in Ohio, my wife Saili and I. We arrived on a Friday night late, midnight, and on Saturday we woke up and went to the course, got all the gear set up, got the gear bags, put my stuff in the gear bags, and since it was my first triathlon that I was doing, at least Ironman distance, I was really concerned about my gear. So I spent a long time making sure everything was perfect, and I still forgot the bib, so I had to go back later in the day on Saturday to put in the bib. So anyway, I got all that set up. We drove up to Cleveland, spent some time with some more friends, Cass and Manny. Thanks for coming out and supporting me. And then we went back to the hotel after eating some food and went to sleep after a light stretch and just preparing the final preparations for my gear bag. So it was supposed to storm the night before and the morning of, and luckily the storms went south of the race course. So we were able to start at least without a huge delay. So in the morning, I was ready, dropped off. I decided not to go with the wetsuit. It was 1 degree over wetsuit legal, and I didn't want to be at the back of the pack. And even though I wasn't really trying to qualify for a spot for Kona, I was just trying to finish my first Ironman triathlon half distance. So we show up, I put my stuff in the bike. It's kind of cool, it's overcast, it's cloudy, and I get into the water after going to the porta potty, taking care of business. I have my jersey on, my one piece, I have my goggles and my swim cap, and then I just have drinking a bottle of water. And then I go check out the water. It's a little cool, but that's okay because we're gonna be, it'll be warmed up with a lot of people in the water. So anyway, I get to the starting chute. I'm more towards the back, and they end up delaying the start for about 20 minutes because of so many people who were late arriving to the course. It was a state park, so there was only one entrance in and one entrance out. So there were buses and shuttles and athletes that were really late. So we were just standing there. I was sitting there in the chute with all the other athletes. There were about 2,000 competitors. And we started, and then I had to wait another 40 minutes until my time walked by. So I was gonna go with the 47 minutes to 51 minutes for 1.2 miles group. And I got to the back of that pack and then eventually walked up. And by the time I started, it was supposed to start at 6:30. By the time I started, it was 7:30 a.m. So get to the chute, get to the water, start. People aren't really sprinting into the water. By the time I reach my group, we're not trying to be super competitive. We're just trying to finish. So waltz into the water. I align myself with the inside of the buoys. I hadn't planned this, but worked out like that. So I start swimming, and I spend a lot of my time looking to the inside with everyone, the outside with everyone to my left, trying not to hit anybody. So I'm like Tarzaning, looking, breathing out in front instead of to the side so that I don't hit anybody. By about a quarter of the way in, I already saw people hanging onto kayaks, some onto buoys, but others were passing me. I was passing others. There was just a mob of people. There were so many swimmers. And by halfway through the race, I was actually feeling kind of bad, like, oh man, I'm kind of tired. The adrenaline is worn off. I don't know if I can do another 0.6 miles. But by rounding the last turn and seeing the beach there, I got pumped. I was like, all right, now I know I can finish. It's right there. I just have to put in a couple more minutes of effort. So I swim. I eventually pick up the pressure a little bit just to want to get out of the water because swimming is not my strong suit. I wanted to get on the bike, get on land as soon as possible. So I finished, looked down at my watch, 45 minutes, which is way better than I expected. So then I walk out to the bike, do the transition, and then I start with chugging a bottle of water and taking a Tums and starting eating my peanut butter and jelly sandwich that I then put in my jersey to eat later. I started on the bike. It was still cool, overcast, cloudy. I started putting on the pressure just to eat a little bit, get my legs loose, 20 miles per hour or so, which is a little higher than normal, but I was passing people, a little bit excited. Eventually my stomach started to cramp up a little bit. I got a little uncomfortable, and so I tried to eat, but it wasn't really staying down. My stomach was curdling a little bit, and I think I also, during the first couple of miles, I chugged this mix, this electrolyte, carbs, protein mix, and I think I just put too much into an empty stomach. I had only had a bowl of cereal in the morning, so I think that made my stomach a little upset. It was hard to hold things down, so instead of drinking more of that mix, I ended up drinking water for most of the remainder. I had a couple of gels that I had, but I had planned on finishing the mix. I didn't even finish the mix even after 56 miles because my stomach was feeling upset. So by not even halfway, there was the first aid station. I grabbed the water, got some Gatorade, and it was a good learning experience about the aid station too, about how to slow down, how to pick up things, and to look for what I need. I ate a banana later, but mostly the whole bike was just me being really uncomfortable with my stomach, and then slowing down a little bit, 18 miles an hour and 19 miles an hour, and my butt getting sore. So my bike actually wasn't too confident. At the end of the swim, I was feeling good. I can do another one of those in the full Ironman. But at the end of the bike, I was like, man, that's gonna be pretty rough doing a full 112 miles. But anyway, I finished the bike and then transitioned into the run, and then the skies opened up with sunlight, hot, humid. It was like 80% humidity. And on the field during transition, I could already feel the heat. So I put on my hat, sunscreen, grabbed another mix. I had the same electrolyte and carb and protein mix, but I took a sip and I knew I'm not gonna hold this down. So I really needed to pee, my butt was sore, but I started coasting on the run, just starting out really, really slowly, 12, 13 minute pace, just getting the legs loose. I had practiced this before. I knew that I didn't wanna burn out, hit the wall. People were passing me. I said, you know what, this is my own race. I know that I'm under the cutoff time. I really just want to finish. So cheers. I saw Saili, Cass, Manny, waved at them. Then in the first mile, the first aid station, went to the porta potty, took care of business, and already it was blazing hot. People were grabbing ice. I grabbed ice, put on the hat, down the shirt, down the jersey, down the back, and then eventually unzip the jersey, try to get cool air. So for the first portion of the run, I was just taking it easy, feeling pretty good. Then about less than halfway through, my stomach was curdling again. I had that mix. I had a little bit of the water and Gatorade at each aid station. And my plan was to drink the mix and then fill with water. Drink more mix, fill with water to try to dilute it. But still, I could barely hold down that mix. So by 6 miles through, I retched a little bit on the side of the road. I was feeling bad going up this hill. But then a couple miles later, I did it again. I was feeling really bad. It was hot, sweating, but I had set a goal a couple miles in to never walk. I'm never gonna be walking. I'm always gonna be running forward. Only through the aid station, I'll walk just to pick up things, but right at the end of the aid station, I'm done, it's time to start running. And I did meet that goal, so I was super happy with that. So by 7, 8 miles in, I was more than halfway, still feeling bad. You know what, all right, I dumped out the rest of the mix. I had a gel instead that I could hold down. I washed it down with water, and I just went to the aid station and said, fill it up with water and Gatorade. For the rest of the run, I just split up with water and Gatorade, and that saved me. I started feeling better. My stomach was better after I, rested for a third time. And then by 9 miles downhill, feeling good, passing people, there were people walking, and then 10 miles, starting this uphill section, I said, if I feel good at 10 miles with 3 miles to go, then I'll start to put in pressure and start to sprint. So I have my water, Gatorade. I think I took 4 gels within the last 5 miles just to replace all the stuff that I hadn't been getting because I couldn't hold down that mix. I started feeling really good. Started ramping up uphill, 10-minute pace, 9-minute pace, 8-minute per mile. And then I skipped the last aid station because I just had a little water and Gatorade left. Ended up sprinting what I thought was a sprint, like 8-minute mile pace, sprinting to the end, passing a couple people at the end, and then sprinting through the finish. I was super happy that I finished. I have a lot to learn. I'm more confident on the swim. I have a lot to practice with my nutrition on the bike as well as the run, but I have the strategy of swimming consistently, biking, not too much pressure, focus on nutrition, just get through it and be consistent and focus on just getting through it. And then the race starts at the run, taking it slowly and then ramping it up and making sure to take that nutrition. So September 12th, Super excited for full Ironman in Wisconsin. I know that I can do it. I have a couple last things to tweak, but I know that my body can do it, and it's just a mental game now of showing up, making sure the gear, the nutrition is in the right place, following a plan. So if anyone is interested to do their own Ironman triathlon, let me know. I had no idea that I could be able to do this 2 years ago, but now it's a dream coming true. So really excited, and thanks so much for watching.